read the introduction. The Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game is about storytelling in worlds of swords and sorcery. It shares elements with childhood games of make-believe. Like those games, D&D is driven by imagination. It's about picturing the towering castle beneath the stormy night sky and imagining how a fantasy adventurer might react to the challenges that scene presents. Very cool. All about imagination. For those of you who aren't familiar, you get to choose what happens in your story. To a certain extent, the Dungeon Master will also help paint a world with you and help you navigate that world. But it's up to you to make the decisions which will ultimately carve your outcomes. Beautiful. It's a really cool scene of adventurers after a long day of journeying. They've stopped around a campfire to relax and gather their thoughts. Oh. There are tons of different races and classes for you to choose from, and each one has their own unique abilities that really distinguish them from each other. There's a little gnome. Character creation is probably one of my favorites, favorite parts of the game. It's fun to just imagine this character that you'll get to impersonate and become. It doesn't have to be like you, but it can be like you. Maybe you wanted to live a life outside of your normal life. Well, this game gives you the opportunity to do that. You get to say things maybe you normally wouldn't say, perform actions that you wouldn't normally perform. Lots of fun things. It also gives you rules of how to play the game inside of here, and you'll get a list of different backstories you can choose from, or you can craft your own. It'll show you how to purchase weapons and armor, backpacks. In fact, here are some trinkets. We have a mummified goblin hand, a piece of crystal that faintly glows in the moonlight, a gold coin minted in an unknown land. So these are just different things that could exist in your game. You never really play the same game twice. I've been in a couple of different campaigns and nothing was ever the same. And I think that's what some of the beauty is. Just like life, no one ever really walks the same path twice. Well, there's another full page art. Looks like we have a young person here, or maybe they're not young. Looks like a cartographer creating some new maps. into some spells. Spells are such cool parts of the Dungeons and Dragons world. Look at this guy. It looks like he's getting a shield that's empowered with some form of supernatural effects, possibly from a deity that they praise. In this game, you get to choose certain deities to follow if you wish. You don't have to, but if you'd like. And inspirational readings, fantasy literature, and an index will be the last few pages of the player's handbook. These retail for about $33 on Amazon. If you'd prefer to purchase at your local bookstore, I believe they run about $50. But well worth the amount of time that you'll invest into this game. Let's take a look at the second book. This is the Monster Manual. The Monster Manual has this shockingly good design at the front. Beautiful foiling. A menagerie of deadly monsters for the world's greatest role-playing game. And on the back it says the A to Z Fantasy Bestiary or Bestiary. The Monster Manual presents a horde of classic Dungeons and Dragons creatures, including dragons, giants, mind flayers, and beholders, a monstrous feast for dungeon masters ready to challenge their players and populate their adventures. The monsters contained herein are culled from the D&D game's illustrious history, with easy-to-use game statistics and thrilling stories to feed your imagination. When you're ready for even more, expand your adventure with the 5th edition Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide. Luckily, we already have those. So let's take a look inside of this Monster Manual. We already have a beautiful bronze dragon here. Contents and credits. Information on how to use this book. Wow, look at this stunning world here. Beautiful colors, fantastical plants. Of different stats that it talks about. Just fantastic artwork here. The light and shadows that they use are just so gorgeous. Basilisk. Medium monstrosity. Unaligned. Unaligned means that they don't really have a moral compass towards evil or good. They just kind of do whatever they want. Armor class 15. Hit points 52. Speed of 20 feet. Strength 16. Dexterity 8. Constitution 15. Intelligence of 2. Wisdom of 8. Charisma of 7. He's not very smart, but he's very healthy and strong. Senses, he has dark vision of 60 feet and passive perception of 9. Does not know any languages. Challenge level 3, and you will gain 700 experience points for defeating this creature. What players will need to be cautious of is the petrifying gaze. For if a creature starts its turn within 30 feet of the basilisk, and the two of them can see each other, the basilisk can force the creature to make a difficulty check of 12 Constitution if the basilisk isn't incapacitated. On a failed save, the creature magically begins to turn to stone and is restrained, and must repeat the savings throw at the end of its next turn. On a failure, the creature is petrified until freed by the Greater Restoration spell, which can be quite nasty. If you're looking to find some really cool characters, monsters, villains, you could even turn these into non-playable characters. You would want to purchase something like this, or find one online perhaps, to add some of these iconic creatures into your adventure. The adult brass dragon. Looks like we're looking at some of the dragons now. An ancient bronze dragon. Wow, he's very strong. Hit points 444. It'll take a lot to take down that ancient bronze dragon. There's a character named Drow. We have an elite version and a mage and a priestess. Some undead characters here. Not sure what Gith is. Sounds pretty neat though. My apologies if you hear the lawnmower in the background. Just my neighbors cutting their grass down today. Here's a half dragon. Half man, half dragon. Or half human, half dragon, I should say. Jackalware. I always wondered what the strongest monster is in the universe of Dungeons and Dragons. I bet it has 1,000 hit points. Wow, this one. A Tarrasque. Gargantuan Titan with over 600 hit points. Wow. Oh, a unicorn. And vampires. Very cool. some really neat ones here. Kind of looks like Red Riding Hood, wolf, and this one even looks like an alien. Mastiff. We all know what this one is. If you've seen Harry Potter, you especially know who that is. Swarm of Quippers. Oh, these are non-player characters, NPCs, so you can use these in your towns to help enrich your storyline. Okay, so that is the monster manual. And finally, we'll take a look. Final book, I should say. We still have one more piece after this. The Dungeon Master's Guide. Everything a Dungeon Master needs to weave legendary stories for the world's greatest role-playing game. In the back, it says, entertain and inspire your players. The Dungeon Master's Guide provides the inspiration and guidance you need to spark your imagination and create worlds of adventure for the players to explore and enjoy. Inside you'll find world-building advice, tips and tricks for creating memorable dungeons and adventures, optional game rules, hundreds of classic D&D magic items, and many other tools to help you be a great dungeon master. Very cool. I would like to just let you guys know that there may be some spoilers in here. So if you would not like to see any spoilers for the Dungeons & Dragons game, feel free to skip ahead in this video, and you can go take a look at the screen after this book. Let's take a look. Oh, already has a little bit of a crease. That's okay. Just gives it a character. So here's the Dungeon Master's Guide. Look at those little critters on top. Here's the introduction. It tells you a little bit about the Dungeon Master role and how to use this book. It talks about there being the master of worlds, of adventures, and of rules. Players will be looking to you if you're the Dungeon Master for rule clarification and to help push along the world that every player is trying to build. Here are some different types of players. Players who love fighting, players who like to optimize maybe their gold or their magic items, problem solvers. So you want to give those players some engaging puzzles. A storytelling group. Craft a beautiful story that they can listen to. Some people like to investigate. For those, you'd want to leave clues out to help them do that. Or explorers. Beautiful lands, dungeons, caves, mountains, and towns that they can explore. Or maybe the players love to roleplay. So you should give them lots of opportunities to do that. It's important to know the style of the group that you're playing with so that they have the most fun. Again, just very neat and colorful paintings here. talked about deities earlier. These are some of the deities that exist in the universe of Dungeons and Dragons. This talks about creating the maps for your world so that your players understand where they are in relationship to other towns and other worlds in the universe. You can make your games as small as you want or as large as you want. Creating the campaign. Wow, look at this creature. I would be terrified to fight that. I'd probably try to reason with it if I spoke that particular language that they spoke. Oh, here's those critters again. That funny little eyeballs, kind of like Mike Wazowski. And we have this scene that very much reminds me of Lord of the Rings. Talks about creating a multiverse. You can do that. You can do that in this game, so that's good. A neat idea would maybe be to have your characters start over multiple times for different universes, and then have their characters meet up at a certain point. A lot of good things in here. Here's different settlements, maps that you can have. Some magic items and prices to go with those items to help you price things. Look at these goats. Wouldn't you like to have that collection of ivory goats? I know I probably would. We have some beautiful magical items here at the back. Epic boons. The boon of fate. When another creature that you can see within 60 feet of you makes an ability check, an attack roll, or a saving throw, you can roll a d10, and d10 means a 10-sided dice, and apply the result as a bonus or penalty to the roll. Once you use this boon, you can't use it again until you finish a short rest. This is part 3, Master of Rules. Making sure you get all the correct rules is important to help run a successful and fun game. Wow, look at this battle taking place between these skeletons and this kingdom. Some different challenges here, challenge ratings with different XP. Oh, they even include some maps at the end. Very cool. That was the Dungeon Master's Guide. Very awesome. Finally, I wanted to show you guys this DM screen. So we have on the inside Dungeons and Dragons. And it shows some very useful information here. Information about jumping and different actions in combat, as well as some different status effects and conditions. At the opposite side, there is traveling pace so that you can tell how long your adventures have been out. And it talks about food and drinks and lodging. And this is what the players will see on the opposite side. The paper they use for this is a nice soft clay feeling paper. Oh, we have this beautiful ampersand in the corner. And again, the foiling Dungeons and Dragons logo. Just a beautiful set for any collector or Dungeons and Dragons player. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it relaxing. I would again like to apologize for any outside noise. And until next time, friends, have a great evening and a wonderful day. And we'll see you next time.